Thank you. And to my surprise, there are no hands raised at the moment. So I'd like to conclude the meeting by saying that I think we have done the best we can in a difficult situation with imperfect data and inability to say what is going to follow what looks like an Omicron 4 or 5 wave. We've looked at the options that are available and come up with a recommendation and some advice that FDA can follow as we move forward into uncharted territory. Unfortunately, looking in the past doesn't help us a great deal to look in the future for this virus, which has baffled a lot of us and made predictions almost irrelevant. So thank you all, and I'd like to give the floor over to conclude the meeting, first to Dr. Marks and Dr. Weir, and then to Prabha for the formal closing. Dr. Marks, Dr. Weir.
Yeah. Dr. Monto, first of all, thank you for running this meeting. So a challenging meeting run very smoothly here. I just want to make sure that Dr. Weir and I can at least I want to make sure that sometimes it's a good practice to repeat back what we hear, so we make sure that if any of one of the committee members feels strongly that maybe we have not heard correctly, they have the time right now to raise their hand and make sure that they have their voice heard. So we know the vote. I think from polling around from the notes that I took, it seems like the consensus among those who were for a change was that a BA4/5 to be included was what made sense. It did seem like there was a fair amount of enthusiasm for a bivalent, and I think the bivalent, it seemed, was I'm not sure how much of that was based on the data shown on the beta Omicron, or how much of that was based on the fact that prototype has done so well, and keeping prototype there alongside an Omicron component makes us feel more comfortable. But I'll take it either way, unless anyone wants to try to clarify that. But it did. The bottom line is, it seems like a BA4/5 bivalent was the sense of the committee. Would be very happy to hear if somebody wanted to provide some further explanation of why they felt more comfortable. If anyone feels like they have any other explanations they like to provide for the bivalent nature. And I think we'll go back and struggle with the issue of what we do about the primary series, having heard some of the challenges here about what it will be to operationalize this versus some of the challenges that we might have because of some of the vaccine rollouts that are going on right now. Does that make sense? I guess from the committee members, I'd be interested, Dr. Monto, just making sure that.
That's what I think I heard from the committee members. For myself, in terms of the bivalent, I've gone up and back in terms of which would be preferable. I would what I would like to see is a head-to-head comparison of the bivalent with the monovalent vaccine, which we're not going to have in time to roll one or the other out. And it's similar in terms of everything else we've seen. The BA1 versus BA4/5, I must admit, I came in thinking about that BA4/5 was the way to go. Then I heard Dr. Subarao, who has a vast amount of experience working in the flu area, coming up with the what I forced her to say that BA1 was the way to go. I think what is critical there is that the vaccine, whatever we have as a booster or whatever we called it in the fall, should contain an Omicron, and that was the vote that we took. Is there anybody, not to prolong the process, does anybody in the committee have anything else they want to say beyond that summary? Going once, going twice. We have a volunteer, Dr. Marasco. You will have the final.
Dr. Ware and Marks, I just was curious since this book got brought up a couple of times in the discussion. So in terms of alternatives, I mean, we did hear from Novavax about the potential of their vaccine giving broader coverage, but they haven't been granted an EUA. So, I mean, is this going to be in the formula for the fall as well, that vaccine should be available? Or is that beyond what the committee should be discussing now?
I think that, you know, the company said when they thought they would make they would see their vaccine available, and the company replied that they thought they would have availability of their vaccine in July. I can take the company for the word for that. I can't tell you when we'll take regulatory action, but I think there's some complexities here, and this is one of those issues where I wish we could be more transparent, but there are certain things that the Trade Secrets Act prevents us from saying in a public venue, and I can't say them in this venue. But you should know that we will not delay making sure that vaccine is available. Once the vaccine is ready to be available, we will make sure that there's no delays.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Marks, would you start the closing process, and then we'll give it over to Prabha.
Yeah. Dr. Weir, do you want to say anything else here? I just want to make sure that you have a chance in case. Because he's the first, Dr. Weir is the first person I have to thank, too. So
I wanted to say one or two things real fast. One is that when we started this a few months ago, we all internally recognized that this was an extremely complex set of issues, not just one issue. It was a complex set of issues. When we met in April, I think the committee understood that. Nothing that I heard today changed my mind that it's every bit as complex as we thought it was going in there. And I do think that in spite of the complexity, we made a lot of progress. And I also heard what Dr. Marks heard, and maybe a few other things that I think we will remember and work on. I mean, I heard things like the committee still thinks global coordination is important, and we need to figure out something about this going forward. The logistics we know are going to be difficult, and we have to work on that. But I also heard comments about how we still need more information about correlates of protection and the measures of cellular immunity. And so all I can say is we understand this, and we will just keep working on it, as well as working on how to streamline and make this entire process of string composition better going forward, because you're right, it's not going to be the last time. So anyway, my thanks to everyone that did such a great job. Thank you.
So I will begin the closeout process here, Dr. Monto. First of all, I want to thank the FDA staff, the advisory committee staff, who, as usual, has done an incredible job putting this meeting together. They have made sure that it's gone technically incredibly well. Very grateful to the entire advisory committee staff and the technical staff working with them. Also want to thank the FDA staff who did an incredible job, and I need to call out Drs. Weir and Fink, who did a lion's share of preparation here, as well as the teams. Also want to take a moment to really sincerely thank a number of different presenters today. Our open public hearing speakers, we're always open to hearing them and appreciate their viewpoints. Also want to thank our CDC colleagues and our WHO colleagues for coming and presenting what was very important data, and as well as the modeling data that was presented. Also want to thank Novavax, Moderna, and Pfizer, all for their presentations and for really helping to inform us. I'll just take a note that I'm aware that this is the last time.
Dr. Marks, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I turned on your microphone, Dr. Marks. Go ahead. Let's see. Nope, Dr. Marks, hold on. His phone disconnected. No, it's the wrong time. Hold on a minute. We're going to disconnect him. That's just sort of funny. We don't want to lose that. Prob, I'm going to pop you up there. Let Dr. Marks come back in. I'm going to send him the audio. I think he ran out of battery. So hold on a second while we get Dr. Marks coming back in his audio. There he goes. That's what happens. There you go.
Dr. Marks, we couldn't hear you.
He's coming in. There we go. Go ahead, Dr. Marks. You're back. Right at the wrong time. Go ahead.
I'm going to back up. Did you hear me start to thank the advisory committee members?
Right about there. Yes, you can start there.
Great. I'll start right there. And I apologize. I don't know what happened there. Someone booted me off the phone. Maybe I deserved it. Thank you so much to all of the advisors, because what I was saying was that really this is, I am very grateful for Dr. Monto and to each and every one of you, because this is not simple, and a diversity of viewpoints is very important here. And the open dialogue is something that's really important for people to hear. It's important to know that science is not always simple, but we will do our best to work our way through it to make sure that we do our best by public health in the country. So thank you for all of your input, which we will consider very carefully, and we really appreciate the time you spent today. With that, I will turn this over to Prabha. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Marks. Thank you, Dr. Monto, and all the committee members and the speakers for your excellent contributions today. And then thank you so much. And with those closing remarks from Dr. Marks and Dr. Weir, I would like to formally adjourn the meeting. It's 5:09 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.